What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and there's not really much going on in the world of Everton transfers. And look, it bores me. It bores me because I like active summers, but I definitely feel like players have got to go out. And rumours are, as of last night, and we did hear it yesterday, and me and Millsy did speak about it. So make sure you go out and check that video. Also, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Really appreciate the support. Like, you know, it's needed, obviously. Richarlison has been linked heavily with a move to Chelsea. Chelsea, as a result, some of their players have all of a sudden been linked with Everton, and you know, he's already been linked with Spurs, who apparently won't pay the 65 mil price tag that Everton have put on him. Let's break it down a little bit. As we said yesterday, and it's important we say this again, Chelsea have a plethora of talent. They've got quality all over the park, and a lot of players that don't even get on the pitch. You know, you've got players consistently like Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Gilmour, Gallagher, Brozier. They're just 5 players there that could probably start for most Premier League teams, yet they've either played bit part roles at Chelsea or they haven't played for Chelsea. So, well, you know, they haven't been given full opportunities. You know, they've probably made debuts for Chelsea, but not played consistently. And, you know, these are players that you'd argue would walk into Everton sides, and there's many of these players. You know, they've got a lot of players, they've got a lot of depth, and they usually loan out a lot of players. And, you know, they're going through this transition of these new ownership and this Bowley fella who has clearly got lots of money. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that have got lots of money at Chelsea, so they're no worse off after this transfer. If anything, they're probably slightly better off. And as a result, you know, they probably will want to go and make some marquee signings. They probably will want to try and get back up to the level that Manchester City's at. You know, Liverpool are considerably weaker, in my opinion, losing Sadio Mane and Darwin Núñez. Fundamentally, in my opinion, has had one great season in a league where it's not unheard of to have a great season and then not do well in other seasons. So I think Liverpool have took a major gamble. So it's allowing Chelsea, in my opinion, to potentially close the gap. And players like Richarlison, albeit he's still raw at times, still a bit rough around the edges, still sometimes doesn't necessarily have that quite right. When he's worked with better players, you might find that his game steps up a level. We see him for Brazil; he scores regularly. He's pretty much in their starting 11, if not on the bench, pretty much every game now. He's in the squad. So, you know, when you look at a player like Richarlison, you can see him making a difference at Chelsea. He's direct running. My argument is, who can we then attract from Chelsea? And there's several players that Everton would want. Gilmour, Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. There'll be some people at Everton, not me. There'd be some that would say have Ross Barkley back. Not me. But there'd be some that would say Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi. There's numerous players at Chelsea. And if Everton can make some form of clever deal where they use Richarlison and get in some of these players, then that would work. My issue is, when you sign players, it's about being hungry and trying to prove a point, and if they've got the right mentality. And I don't know if some of those players have the right mentality. I think Gallagher has. I think Gilmour has. But I do question players like Hudson-Odoi. I certainly question Ross Barkley. I question the players that haven't necessarily hit the heights that they were expected to hit on massive salaries. You know, would they walk into an Everton and not disrespect it, but would they think they're better than us? And that I wouldn't agree with. So I think Everton have to be really cautious when they're letting players like Richarlison go. That's just my opinion. In terms of other transfer rumours, there really hasn't been lots. Because I think what Everton need to do is get some of these players off the books first. Andre Gomes has been linked with a move back to Portugal, but again, We already know that. We already know Gomez could potentially go back to Portugal or Spain or wherever. It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up somewhere like Turkey, like Fenerbahce or Besiktas. I don't know. Look, it just wouldn't surprise me if Gomez isn't at the club. But like Millsy said, he was thinking about how he might only go out on loan. I think Everton will be holding out for cash. I'm convinced they will be holding out for cash. And I think they'd rather take a small fee than a loan. Because I think Everton would rather take 5 million on Gomez than 1 million loan fee and 50% of his wages. Because I think they need the money in. Another player that is being heavily linked with moves, obviously he's already away, but moves back to the Premier League is Moise Kean. Moise Kean, we all forget that this is Moise Kean. This is a player that is on this 2-year loan. And whether rightly or wrongly, it hasn't worked at Everton. But Moise Kean is the sort of player that Everton, and not Everton, that Lampard would want to take a look at. The decision, it appears, has already been made. It looks like he's going to be sold to Juventus, who potentially will just sell him straight to West Ham. But he's one of those players that I think Lampard, if he could, would have looked at. The problem you've got is calling him back is a gamble because he won't want to sign a new deal. And somebody will just offer him cheap money to go somewhere. You know, Everton will be offered 10 million instead of the contracted 25, and we've already lost money on him. So again, it's a dangerous game that Everton have got to play. What I would say is I think this summer has to be a sell to buy. And by that, I think you sell Richarlison. And I think you probably do sell Calvert-Lewin. I'm convinced he's going to go to Newcastle. I know Newcastle have been linked with Ntiki. I can't pronounce his name, apologies. But I know they've been linked with the striker from Rennes. But I really do think that Calvert-Lewin isn't happy at Everton either. So I feel like Richarlison's happy at Everton but wants to play Champions League football, which I absolutely understand and appreciate. You've then got Calvert-Lewin, who is wanted by other clubs and may want a fresh start following last season. Again, I can't argue with that. But that is going to bring in 100, 120 million. And from that, I do think Everton need to invest. Another player that could leave Everton is Alan. Alan's been linked with Lazio. He's been linked with numerous clubs in different regions of the world. Roma, Jose Mourinho was linked with him. So, again, you're talking about players that have got quality, but probably just aren't right for the Premier League, that are saleable assets from Everton. Not great players in the Premier League, but could definitely do a job in a Portugal, in an Italy, you know, where the leagues are slower and the physicality isn't as high. These players would probably thrive. You'd probably see an Andre Gomes doing well in Portugal. That's where it all started for him. You'd see an Alan going back to Italy and doing well. The Premier League just wasn't really suited for them. Another player that actually has got to have a really big year this year is Decore. Because I thought Decore at the end of last season was shocking. I thought his passing, his distribution, just genuinely, most of his game was really, really poor. And we need to get back to that quality on the ball, the driving with the ball, the passing out wide, the strength in midfield. We need to get back to that with Decore, because I could easily see him not starting next season if Everton did happen to be successful in their approaches for these, you know, these Chelsea lads or, you know, other players that I'm sure will be linked with. Everton rumours as well that we've been linked with Jesse Lingard on a free transfer. Again, I'm not against that at all. I think Jesse Lingard would add a little bit of pace, a little bit of trickery, a little bit of flair. He'll look for the lines, he'll look through the channels. He can score goals. He's respectful. I don't like all the social media stuff. I don't know if you've seen the TikToks and things recently that he's been doing, but I appreciate that, you know, this is the modern age and this appeals to, you know, younger audiences and different demographics. I get it, I understand. It's just not really for me. What I would like to see is Everton just be precise with what they're doing. You know, they've got Tarkowski, he's in. You know, I hopefully we'll see a little bit more of Nathan Patterson at right back instead of Coleman. No dig at Coleman, but he's just not at the level. And Mikalenko, and we'll see, you know, Godfrey or Mina more, and we just have a little bit more of a settled back four. Pickford, you don't change the keeper. I think Jordan Pickford actually kept Everton up last season. I think for all the credit that certain players got in that team, I think Pickford kept us up. Then you've got midfield. Iwobi had a very decent end to the season, changing his role a little bit, seemed a little bit more committed and dedicated, putting his foot in a lot more, carrying the ball a little bit, beating people more often. I was really happy with that. And I don't think Iwobi will go anywhere this summer, so I want to see more of it. What I need Alex to do is to step up and do that more consistently, get more assists, get more goals, get more shots on target, and develop his game around that. He's not young anymore, he's not a young kid. Now is the time, really, that if he wants to make a name for himself with players like Richarlison and leaving, he needs to step up, because he has got that skill level and he has got the ability to carry the ball. He's not the quickest, but what he has got is that physicality to break the lines, and we need to see more of it. You've then got Damari Gray, Andros Townsend. I don't think we'll see Andros very much this season following his injury, and I think he'll probably be let go at the end of next summer. So there's a lot of changes. And then we're talking about players in this Everton team that, you know, are absolute must-haves. Anthony Gordon, he's only going to develop even better. You know, we've seen him for England recently, I think it was the under-23s, might be the under-21s, don't hold me to it. And the ball comes down from the left-hand side and he takes a touch by fundamentally putting his right ankle behind his left leg. And it's one of those skills that's always great to see. We saw Diaz do it against us at Liverpool, etc. It's always great when you see that little bit of flair. We want to see more of it from Gordon. We want to see him break the lines more. We want to see him use his left and his right foot, because he can go in both directions. We want him to see him use that pace, score a few more goals, get a few more assists, and really become a spearhead, because he can. He's got that quality. So let's utilise that. And then the changes in the under-23s and under-18s. Again, these are big changes. People coming into this team. I saw tweets yesterday, and Melzi asked me the question, you know, is this jobs for the boys? Well, who knows? Leighton Baines could be a sensational coach. But just because we don't see that, and just because he played for Everton, means people are sitting there digging him out. I don't think it's fair, and I think you've got to give these people 18 months, 2 years to develop these younger players and see who can get in the first team. If no one gets in, fair enough. We've also got two young strikers who, you know, at times last season we were pleading to see over Rondon, who again is a player that in my eyes would be surplus to requirements. Ellis Sims and Dobbin. Dobbin signed a new deal in December, January. This is a player that has got that pace, appears to have that step over, that skill. He knows where the goal is. We've seen it for the under-23s and in various competitions, etc. So we know he's got that. We know Ellis Sims can play in Scotland. We know he can see at Blackpool. And we've seen him at Blackpool in the Championship. But we again, in League One, sorry. But we need to see a step up. And we need to see these boys take these opportunities. And to do that, you're either going to loan them out or you're going to let them be around the first team. Now, for me right now, I'd leave them in the first team. And I'd give them the occasional minutes. I'd give them 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Because what we need to see is another Ross Barkley, is another Wayne Rooney, is a better version of Tom Davies, is a young player that breaks through. And we need to see it consistently. Because if Everton can't spend loads of money, then we have to rely on that. And going forward in the next few years, who knows what's going to happen with the club? Who knows about this consortium takeover, etc., etc. So, for me, I really genuinely believe that Everton have got to be more strategic, and we haven't been over the last however many years. We've just been, and it's not worked. So, for me, we've got to change that. We've got to adapt it, and we've got to make it work. So, look, that's my opinion, guys. I'm leaving it there. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I thoroughly hope that there's some more rumours. Otherwise, these videos could get very repetitive. But of course, there'll be a video again tomorrow. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you soon.